Hello, I'm Emma Hammett, the founder and CEO of First Aid for Life and onlinefirstaid.com and the author of Burns, Falls and Emergency Calls, the ultimate guide to the prevention and treatment of childhood accidents. Today I'm going to talk to you about head injuries, what they are, how they occur, which is fairly obvious, and what to look out for in order to realise whether or not it is serious. So head injuries are incredibly common, particularly in smaller children because they are very head heavy and they also don't look where they're going. They're not risk aware. They go dashing around at a rate of knots. They can be sitting under a table and stand up and clonk their head on the top of the table or run into the side of a corner of a door or something very easily. If they fall over, they quite often tend to hit their head. Same with elderly. They very often get more wobbly as they get older, and if they fall over, it's quite common for them to hit their heads as well. Now, fortunately, most head injuries are not that serious. Most of them are superficial, and quite often they bleed horrendously because your head and your face are incredibly vascular. So if you hit your head, it will bleed a lot. So expect a lot of blood, and we're used to, in the hospital, to seeing people coming in absolutely smothered in blood, and you think, oh my goodness, what have they done? And particularly if it's a hot day, because your blood vessels are that little bit more dilated and things will bleed faster. So they come in and we start cleaning up, so we've got our gloves on and we're cleaning up to find out where this wound is, and sometimes they can be absolutely smothered and it is the tiniest little cut that has just, for some reason, bled out. And once we've applied pressure and we've sorted it out, we will be watching and going through the things that I will be talking to you about during this video. But most of the time, they go on and they make a full recovery. Okay, so first of all, stay calm. So if somebody has hit their head, the calmer you are, the calmer they will be. If someone has hit their head, hitting your head can push your spine back. So if someone has hit their head and they have a severe head injury, you need to think, could they have damaged their spine? Particularly if they've fallen from a height, they've hit by something going at speed, two children have run into each other with force. All those things can end up with a sort of whiplash type injury. So if they are conscious, don't rush to move them. Get them to just lie still, stay calm. You can support their head and neck without distressing them, don't cover their ears, and just talk to them and just establish what happened and how seriously they are injured before you start moving them or helping them to get up or anything like that at all. So nice and calm, just see what's happened, and that way you can establish how serious you think it might be. And trust your instincts, and also it depends where you're working, and if it's somebody else's children, you'll obviously be more cautious, I would suggest, than possibly with your own, or maybe not. But trust your instincts and stay calm. So take that deep breath and keep everything nice and relaxed whilst you work out what has happened. Okay, right, with head injuries, what you were worrying about, as well as considering the possibility of a spinal injury, is secondary brain injury. Your brain is in a box. So if you hit one side, the inside of the brain will bosh back against inside your head, and the damage on that side from where the initial impact was will possibly cause damage that side or all round, and then all injuries swell. So as the brain starts to swell, if it's inside your head and your brain is swelling, as it's starting to swell, it will push against other bits of brain and against your spinal cord because it can't get out. Which is why one of the treatments that we do for severe brain pressure on the brain, because the brain is swelling, and compression is what we call it, is that in hospital, a neurosurgeon may well either put a probe in to actually test the pressure in the brain, or they may even take a bit of the skull out to relieve the pressure so that as the brain heals and goes down again, they can then replace that bit of skull. So you are literally a pressure box, and the problem is that that secondary brain injury can cause more damage than the initial bang on the head. And that's why you're observing people for the next 48 hours or so for anything unusual. For headache, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, blurred vision, unequal pupils, mood change, weakness down one side, confusion. And if you're worried, you trust your instincts and you get an ambulance on the way fast, and you get them seen by a health professional quickly and assessed. And the majority of the time that we have people in hospital and being assessed, it turns out that they are fine, and when the initial injury has subsided, they make a full recovery. When I was nursing, we used to have lots of people admitted routinely overnight. They don't do that as much now, but they were routinely admitted overnight for observation, and we used to shine torches in their eyes. We looked at their pupils. We asked them lots of questions. We did blood pressure, temperature, pulse, so we were looking at trends, and we did that every 15 minutes, every half an hour, and then every hour throughout the night. They don't do that as routinely as they used to, because a lot of the time, and the majority of the time, it turned out to be unnecessary. However, that does not say that you should not be observing anyone that has hit their head, and that if it is someone who is going to be in the care of other people, so a child who's going to a friend's house or is being cared for by their nanny or whatever, and going to school, that you communicate that to everyone that is in contact with that child. And anyone who has hit their head and had a severe head injury should not be on their own for the next 48 hours. They should have someone with them to look out for signs of weakness or mood change, or things that they might not pick up themselves as being unusual. And fitting and seizures as well. Head injuries can cause seizures. So you're picking up anything unusual. If you have any child that has become unconscious, they have head or neck pain, and they are giddy and having trouble walking after a head injury, they must be seen by a medical or health professional. Get them checked out. If someone has hit their head, or if a child has hit their head, people say, don't let them sleep. Well, you're not going to keep them awake for 48 hours, so you need to be a little bit more balanced about this. If it's a very severe head injury, then they will be in a hospital environment and we will be monitoring them. If it is a less severe injury and they haven't been admitted, you need to make the decision as to whether or not you are confident that they are behaving completely normally and they seem to have made a full recovery. If they are completely normal and behaving fine, be aware that as any swelling increases, that their response rate could deteriorate. However, they can still sleep, but you are going to monitor them very carefully. You're going to check on them. You're going to make sure that you don't confuse sleepiness and tiredness with losing consciousness. So you are looking for someone that is normal and alert and with it, and as though they are behaving as though they haven't had a head injury, and you are continuing to monitor them. When you go and check on them, I would suggest you try and wake them gently. And if you get a normal response when they sort of and go back to sleep, and it's a completely normal response for your child, then that's fine. If you are concerned in any way, then try and wake them properly. And if you are worried, get the emergency services on the way. I hope that's been helpful. That's Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life, firstaidforlife.org.uk and onlinefirstaid.com. Thank you for listening.